What's up YouTube, Magnus here, back with another video for you guys. Today we're going to go over a few tips that I can give you to help break down your leatherwork. This is great for costuming, prop building, and cosplay to make sure that your work doesn't look like it just came out of a box. Before we get started, I set up a Patreon account earlier this year. If you want to help support the channel even more, you can check that out, or not, whatever floats your boat.
Vegetan leather works really well for film. You can color match easily, and since it accepts water and oils really easily, it can be manipulated well. So I'm getting it dyed first, and then while the dye is still wet, I'm going to back roll. So back rolling is something I do for a ton of straps and belts. I've got this little block that I've made. I was thinking of adding other bits to the sides, and then maybe some stamps or ridges to help break things down. But the key to the block is that it has the sandpaper on the one side, so it grips your leather. You can obviously just use your hand to do the back rolling, but I find this a lot easier. So Vegetan, moisture, and back rolling, and you'll get the ridges that you want to make your piece look a little more broken down. Now you can certainly do this with other types of leather, but this is the one that's going to have the most drastic effect because it will hold its shape better when it's wet, and it'll create those creases. Sometimes you win, like this one would look great. The other one I did didn't look as good, but it still worked out. Now I'm just hitting it with some 220 grit sandpaper. You can experiment with what kind of sandpaper you want to use. Lots will work. I just don't go too low a grit because it'll be really scratchy. And because you are moving over these ridges that you've created now, it will make those pop while leaving all the underneath part dark. So you can really get that those lines to pop, like on the one on the right there, you can really tell the difference. So here I want to fray up the edges a bit. So I have my knife on a pretty sharp angle, and I'm going to keep it on that angle all the way up and down the whole edge of the strap. And then I'm going to put the knife straight and drag it back the other way to lift those cuts that I've just done, and that'll create a frayed edge. So just do that as much as you need it. Sometimes you won't really need it to be as ridiculously frayed as I'm making these. Maybe it's just a little subtle thing that you want to do to a strap or a belt, but yeah, it looks pretty good. After I've got both these done, I'm just going to add a few marks to the strap. You can use anything that can make a mark. Now, I think the key to doing marks is making sure they're not overly consistent. Keep them random, so switch your tools up a bunch. I think I only used this tool just as an example, but... And hey, if the straps have been used, the holes have been stretched, so make sure you stretch out your holes. After you've got the holes stretched on your straps, they're looking pretty good. You may want to add some discoloration, so you can use paint, dye, or water. So I'm using water here just to do some droplets, and they will dry and leave a watermark on them. So if you're looking for a really subtle change in the look of your leather without resorting to heavier colors or different dyes, you can just throw some watermarks on there and it'll dry and it'll change the color. Now this last part I'd say is an extreme example of what you could do to create an incredibly deteriorated effect. Once again, this works a lot better with vegetable tanned leather because of its ability to accept moisture. But remember, you're really cooking the leather here, so it's going to become weak and brittle the longer you heat it. So I might do something like this to try and recreate something incredibly old, near broken, and beaten up. Maybe some kind of ancient grave find, or even straps on old suitcases that always seem to be broken or about ready to fall apart. This is a technique I definitely use sparingly, but everything has its place.
Well, thanks for watching, everybody. Be sure to smash that like button if you enjoyed the video. I don't really think you understand how much that helps the channel out. Hit subscribe and that notification button to make sure that you don't miss any of my videos. And until next time, keep on being creative in whatever it is you do.